How's it going, y'all? Welcome back to an episode of Fishing ATX. This next coming week, guys, I am upgrading my fishing boat. It has been a long time coming, but because of that, I want to shine on the one that I've been fishing out of for the past 4 years, and that is my 2012 Bass Tracker 175 TXW. I've put a lot of time and effort into this boat and a lot of work, and today I want to show you guys all the modifications I've made to this boat. That way, if y'all have a similar one, you can do the same kind of things that I have and turn your tracker into the ultimate aluminum fishing boat. Here she is, guys, in all of her glory. She's in a lot better condition than you would think, considering how much I fish out of this boat. Today, I'm gonna be taking you guys through every single modification I've made to it and tell you guys why I made it and how it will help you improve your tracker. So like I said, guys, this is a 2012 Bass Tracker. It's the 175 model. It has a 60 horsepower outboard on the back, which makes about 37 to 38 miles an hour on a good day. I have hit over 40. Sometimes when the conditions are a little rough, I'm a little bit below 35. It all kind of depends. So not bad for how little the boat is. It's 17 foot 7 inches long and it has a beam of 7 foot 5 inches. So not bad, like I said, for a 17 foot boat. Certainly the next boat I'm getting is going to be a lot bigger, a lot wider. It can get a little tough when you're fishing over 3 people on this boat, especially off the front deck. But like I said, not bad at all considering its length. With the front deck size though, that's going to get me into my first point, and that is the trolling motor I have on this boat and why I chose it. So the trolling motor I have on here is a Minn Kota power drive. It is a 12 volt, 55 pound thrust trolling motor. The reason I went with a 12 volt and 55 pounds is because A, the battery box in the back is a little small. It can be hard to do a dual circuit 24 volt trolling motor. And then on top of that, 55 pound thrust, as far as I could find, was the strongest pound thrust that Minn Kota offered for a 12 volt trolling motor with spot lock. And I'll get into that too. So this trolling motor power drive is the cheapest trolling motor on the market that has spot lock. I say cheap, it's not exactly a cheap trolling motor by any means, but compared to its other counterparts, it is far cheaper. And having spot lock, especially on a light, small boat like the Tracker, is essential, guys. It holds me in place really, really well. I don't even have to think about it. It's a lifesaver without a doubt. The only downside, as you can see here to this trolling motor, is that there is no foot pedal associated with it. It is solely remote controlled. And I say downside, there are definitely pros and cons to it. I actually did this entirely on purpose. As you can see, the front deck, it's not huge. You know, I only have a lot of rods out right now for my likings. Like, I fish a lot of rods. I always have different stuff tied on. Because of that, there's not a whole lot of space to begin with. There was not a already built-in foot pedal console as well. If there was, I probably would have gone with a little bit nicer trolling motor that comes with a foot pedal. But because of this, I didn't feel like building a foot pedal console, and I didn't want to take up any extra space just drilling in a foot pedal right here. So I decided to go with the full remote option. That way it saves me this entire bit of front deck space and allows me, you know, to have a lot easier fishing access. And I'll tell you guys right now, the remote, it can be a little annoying at first, especially if you're like myself and you like to power fish, but once you get used to it, it's really not all that difficult. Here is the remote, just like I was talking about. I like to dangle it off to the side because I usually have a GoPro on, so I can't strap it around my neck like most guys do, so I just hang it from my pocket. To deploy this trolling motor, all you have to do is come up here and you stomp down on that foot pedal like so. That releases the trolling motor, allowing it to fall. I'm not going to take it out right now. I think you guys know basically how that's going to fall out. It can be a little annoying sometimes. You really got to hammer that foot. If you don't get it just right, it will not pop out correctly. You have to kind of pop back in and redo it again. But all in all, once you get used to it, it's not overly bad. One last thing to note on the power drive, because I'm sure some people might have questions about it, is that you cannot hook up a foot pedal to this trolling motor without losing spot lock, because I'm sure some of y'all are gonna be like, wait, I mean, you can still have an external foot pedal, you can still do a, you know, a Bluetooth one even. Why wouldn't you just do that if you want to have both? Can't do it, unfortunately. You can hook up a foot pedal to it. It does come with a foot pedal option, but you lose spot lock. I need spot lock. It takes priority to foot pedal. That's why I have that rigged the way I do. Alrighty, next thing we're gonna hop into is the sonar that I've put onto this boat. This boat naturally only comes with a Lowrance hook 5. Yeah, in today's tournament world, that is simply not enough. At the console, as you can see, I've replaced the hook 5 with a Garmin Striker 5. Honestly, if I go back and do it again, I'd probably put a little bit nicer unit on here. I just did not have the money when I was building this boat to put something nicer. It does what I need it to do. It tells me the depth and how fast I'm going. That's basically what I use it for. I just want to see how deep my spots are when I pull up. I do everything pretty much on my front graph. And that is the Garmin EcoMap UHD2 106 SV. This thing is an absolute freaking workhorse for those of y'all who know sonar. It does pretty much everything I need to do on this small boat. And now, like I said, you can have a crazier sonar setup than this for sure, but for the money I wanted to put into it, it's the perfect setup for me because especially off this front graph, I can do literally everything on it. I'm not sponsored by Garmin or anything, but as someone who sells marine sonar for a living, I can tell you these Garmin units are pretty much the highest all-around unit you can get. And for my situation on the Bass Tracker here, I really only had the money to do one nice unit, so I thought I would sell out and get myself a Garmin. This thing has everything on it that I want, obviously all the charts and contours I could ever imagine. It has your traditional 2D down scan and clear view as well. It has side view, which is honestly really only helpful at the console. Next boat I get, I'll be having this kind of graph at the console, so it won't even matter. But then the biggest guy is that live scope Panoptics. As much as I'm not a huge fan of live scope, it has helped me tremendously in tournaments. Having live scope on a boat like this is a pretty crazy addition. It definitely levels the playing field when, I'm running about 150 less horsepower than all my competitors. So y'all are probably thinking, that's great and all, but how do you even run a transducer and a live scope transducer cables down to the trolling motor head due to the fact that it goes through a freaking bracket? How do you do that? I'll show you guys. So I cannot take credit for this idea, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. I saw it from someone else on YouTube. I'm forgetting the channel's name. I apologize. I will link it in the video description below though, because it is an incredible idea this guy had for the power drive. So the toughest thing about these power drive trolling motors is that the shaft goes through this deploy block, for lack of better words. I know there's an actual term for it. I just can't remember what it is at this point in time. So without this method, it's impossible to run a transducer cable to your trolling motor. But here it is right here. So what you do is you take out this front screw and replace it with an eye hole screw that you attach a carabiner to. You run your transducer cables through it down a bike lock. So the bike lock's attached to the carabiner. The bike lock runs all the way down to the head of the trolling motor where you have your hose clamps, right, that always hold in your transducers anyways. On these hose clamps, you have another carabiner that attaches to one of them, and that way it's all fully connected, and then you can run your transducer cables down that bike lock to the trolling motor head, and by doing so, it allows it to rotate 360 degrees. And I can speak for it right now, guys. It works perfectly. I've been doing it for almost 4 years now. It is a foolproof solution, and quite frankly, it looks pretty cool, man. You got this thing all big and jacked up, all your cables running down. It's awesome, and it allows you to do things that typically you would not be able to do with this style of trolling motor. One last thing I wanted to address as well is that I've gotten a lot of comments from guys asking, how do you use live scope with a remote controlled trolling motor? Like, you're not even using a foot pedal. How are you, managing A, working the remote, B, casting, and C, seeing your lure on live scope? And I'll tell you guys just off the bat, it just takes practice. It took me a little while to understand. It's hard to do for sure. It is much easier with a foot pedal, and honestly, I would say too, it'd be much easier even if I were to attach, like a separate live scope pole to the side and just have that down separately. It would also be a lot easier. I just didn't want to drill a whole nother pole into the boat. Certainly an option you can do. It makes things a lot easier for a remote controlled trolling motor. But for me, what I always try to do is I'll try to point the head wherever I'm trying to look, point the head in that direction. And then the easiest, I'll try to put some example videos up as well. I'm just casting just to the left of where the trolling motor head is with my lure, because that way, whenever it goes down, it gets straight into the beam of the live scope transducer. And then what I'll do is I'll try to see it in that beam first. And then if the boat's drifting, once I've seen where my lure was casted, I'll manually go back and start adjusting the head while my lure is sinking. And or what I'll also do is just try to find an area where I want to cast, lock the live scope onto there, make that cast, and then just fish it without live scope, because the boat's gonna drift some, or I gotta put it in spot lock, it's not exactly on that spot. As long as I know generally where I'm casting has fish, it typically tends to work as far as me getting eaten. I don't necessarily watch my lure come back every single time on live scope, but like I said, it's easier said than done. It took me about 2 months of doing it on this trolling motor to really get used to it, and it's not perfect by any means, but that's the easiest way I guess I can explain to you guys how I use live scope with this style of trolling motor. I almost forgot about this part here, but here is my live scope setup. A lot of times guys will put it in the side compartments, whatnot. I thought it was just gonna be too much, and trying to run the wires along the sidewall of the boat while ripping some carpet up was just gonna be a ton for me. So what I did was I just put it in the rod locker. Really nice, easy place to mount your black box right there. And then my battery, battery tray's a little big for it, I understand that. It was the smallest battery tray I could find. But literally all I had to do was just run my wires up the side of the rod locker there, as you can see. And I'm being honest, I don't use the rod locker very often. They are strapped up onto the wall. Doesn't look like it the way they're sitting. I probably need to readjust that, but they're off to the side. That way my rods don't get hung up in them. And then I just run those lines straight through the rod locker up to the nose, up to my sonar unit. Pretty simple, all things considered. Another huge upgrade I've made to this boat is the use of all lithium batteries. Like I was talking about earlier, rather than going for 2 smaller 24-volt batteries, I end up going for just 2 massive lithiums, one that runs my trolling motor and one that is my cranking battery. Certainly you don't need a lithium cranking battery. That was me being a little obsessive with the lithium usage, but without a doubt, for your trolling motor and for your graph, Graphs, a lithium battery is essential if you have the money for it. It is a game changer. The difference between a lithium and a typical lead acid is that a lead acid, as you run it all day, that battery progressively puts off less and less power as you go. So by the time you're down to like 30, 20% charge, you're not gonna be drawing that much power. Your trolling motor's only be running on half thrust, and if it is a windy day, it's Central Texas, it's always windy here, you're kind of screwed, and that's gonna end your day of fishing early. Whereas with a lithium battery, you're gonna be putting off the exact same power input at 1% as you are at 100%. So no matter what percent charged it is, it's always gonna be getting off that same power input, allowing you to fish all day. And on top of that, these lithiums last twice as long as a lead acid. So a 100 amp hour lead acid battery would typically last me about 8 to 10 hours when it was in good health, whereas these lithiums will literally last me like 20 plus hours. And I'll go several trips without charging them. That's how fantastic they are. They're the real deal. I would definitely recommend investing in them if you have the money to do so. I also run my live scope on lithium batteries. You probably saw the main reason for that is lithium compared to lead acid or even AGM, it gives you a significantly better screen picture. I tell you from experience, I ran it on a lead acid for about a week when I was waiting for that lithium to come in. The pixelation difference is wild. Like, it is so much clearer. And obviously having a bigger screen helps too. A 10-inch screen certainly makes the live scope a lot clearer than a smaller screen, right? But the lithium battery is another game changer as well. It's just a much clearer picture, and it lasts for a lot longer as well. Just did that entire filming session. I didn't even mention the amp hour percentages. Real quickly, I run my trolling motor on a 100 amp hour lithium battery. My cranking battery is 140 amp hours because I also run my graphs on that one. And then my live scope one is a 50 amp hour. All right, the last kind of miscellaneous change I've made to this boat would be the casting seat up front. The seats it normally comes with, these guys right here, they're just not that great, man, especially for someone like me who has back problems. It's fantastic having a casting seat because I can prop this guy up, lean on it all day, even though I'm standing the whole time because I don't like to sit when I fish. I like to stand so I can see everything. I can see everything perfectly well while I'm leaning up against it, and it just saves my back. Like when I fish for 14 to 16 hours on average. I'm out there all freaking day. This thing saves my legs and saves my back. Regardless of what boat you're fishing, I would highly recommend upgrading to a casting seat. As you can see, especially for being a 13-year-old boat at this point, it's in pretty dang good condition, but there are a few things I would still want to fix if I was keeping this boat longer. First off, being the seats. I'd probably entirely redo the seats at this point. You can see this one's ripping real badly, and this one already had ripped. I put a patch, you can call it, on the side. It looks terrible, but just is what it is for the time. And then really the last upgrade or addition I would add would be just power poles to the back. I've seen some guys with trackers with power poles. Power poles are definitely a little overkill for a tracker boat, but what I will say is this boat does drift a lot considering how light it is. With power poles, especially fishing up shallow, it's really helpful to be able to keep just one spot, because if I'm having to spot lock in really shallow water, a lot of times I have to pull the trolling motor up some in order to not hit the bottom with it, and it will kick up a ton of dust. It's super loud, it'll scare fish. So power poles would be a really helpful addition. On top of that too, just when fishing tournaments, it'd be great to have it when just anchoring the boat on the bank, because I've had times to where I try to put the boat up on the bank when we're weighing fishing and it starts drifting everywhere and it's a pain in the ass. So power poles would be the last thing I would put on here. But there it is, guys. That is my Bass Tracker 175 TXW 2012 edition. I just want to give this boat a shout out, because I've had a lot of questions from people in the comments on what I've done to it, but then on top of that, it's just been such a great boat, man. I just had to give it a proper send-off, right? If I were just a casual angler, I would keep this thing forever. If you're just a weekend angler, someone who just enjoys fishing for the love of it, it is the boat for you. I honestly tell people this all the time. There's no reason to get some crazy ass boat with a 250 on the back and all these electronics and whatnot if you're just a casual weekend angler. These trackers are fantastic. They're built tough. They're reliable. They're awesome, man. I cannot speak higher of them. They're fantastic. Only reason I'm upgrading is because I've gotten pretty serious into the tournament circuit now, and I need something that's a little bit faster with a little more horsepower on the back. With that though, guys, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, remember to leave a like and subscribe to Fishing Text if you are new. Also go down below and follow me over on Instagram. That'll be linked in the description. There she is, the Bass Tracker 175. Had a hell of a lot of great memories with this boat. It has been a pleasure to fish out of it. Hope this helped you guys kind of understand some things you can put on yours to make your boat even better. I'll see you guys next time. Back out on the water.